What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for tuning in for a fantastic live stream. We're going to be looking at quite a few things today. I was just looking up some key search words for NIO. It's kind of like, I think a lot of people do this, basically using Google Trends here and just looking for some key search terms. I'm looking for like NIO day or NIO stock and things like that. You can kind of see potential spikes going up here. The past 30 days, you see it's slowly been climbing, kind of like, which I always find it strange on when they do it by the subcategories of states. We have Hawaii, Massachusetts, Oklahoma, Virginia, which is the state that I live in. Go Virginia, and then California. But then looking at the NIO automobile company, that of course has been pretty stagnant. But then if I do type in something like NIO stock, you can see it kind of just peter out a little bit as well. But a lot of people in New Jersey love NIO, which seems a little bit strange here. What's up, Lewis? What's up, SY? How you guys, everyone doing? But California's in there, and Hawaii. Again, that's also both strange companies. And the great thing with Google Trends, you really see some other related articles from that. Of course, you see the links to Laserstock, Airbnb, DoorDash, QS, and QuantumScape. Of course, both of these have been very much front-running things as well with a lot of those companies. So that's honestly like a little, I won't say a tricky trick, but I think a lot of people do it, looking at Google Trends and looking at what potentially are people searching for, what are some categories that you can see a deep dive into and really kind of understanding on, I wouldn't say it's like, let's say like stock market crash. You can kind of see that kind of hit a high in December 27th. And then we jump over here to, let's just say, S&P 500 futures. And let me come over here. December 27th, I guess, is right here. Right here. The day before we just really took off. So it doesn't mean if everyone's saying, if there's a market crashing, is blah, 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 does that mean the stock market is going to be down? Because again, via Google Trends, if we go back, flipping over here, you can see that on the 27th had a really high rating, substantially higher than the past couple days. But if we go to a longer time frame, let's say 90 days, I think it's going to be, okay, it is pretty. So 28th, 27th, it had a extremely high ratings within Google Trends here. That's basically the day that the market really took off. The stock market crash didn't happen on the 21st, but that just tells you it takes the whole world mostly a substantial amount of time to get to that point. So it took 3 to 4 days, actually more than 3 to 4 days. It took basically 5 days, 6 days for the market to have this super strong correction down. Then at the same time, it took that to that news, those articles or whatever, and then you have the large reaction of the, wouldn't say the inactive investors, but the folks who are not literally physically watching the market on a day-to-day basis or even an hourly basis, or in some cases, guilty here on like a 5 to 10 minute, like a 5 to 1 minute basis, depending on what time we're looking at here on the market. Against a lot of things can just happen from that. David S., what's up, my friend? How you doing? Can we check V? Yes, I love V. I love V, and I love Mastercard. Both of them are kind of breaking out here with this previous high. Again, this is the previous high around the 214 to 215 that we saw before all this pandemic and virus of stuff, and we hit this level multiple times just this past last year. Sorry. So forgot to tell everyone Happy New Year's. Let's get 2021 get up and running here starting tomorrow. As of right now, the futures are up very slightly. The Nasdaq's down 23, 24 points. That's nothing really to write home about. That being said, with this, with Visa and also Mastercard, once we switched to that, they were both kind of seeing this same kind of pattern playing out. Tested its all-time high multiple times, knocking on the door, kicking on the door, whatever. Finally broke through it. Some next levels for Visa we're going to be looking at is potentially 235 if this trend can continue. But then we're going to have a pretty strong base of support around that 214. So that breakout around 214 to 215 is now somewhat of a, wouldn't say stable base, but a potential level of support on the way down. But you see a lot of level support around 209 to 210 if we do get a fairly large drag down. With that being said, so with speaking of Visa, we also got to talk about the Mastercard. Kind of the same pattern here. We're hitting that that previous all-time high here. Let me go do this fib here. Pull this here. Basically that all-time high around 348, 350, let's call it. Been bouncing around that level as well, potentially trying to test its last year high in 2020 around 367.25. Potentially with Master and Visa really just trading together. I don't know. Again, no one knows why stocks run. It's always the news that comes before the move, or the price movement, or the news comes after the price movement. Most likely, a lot of people are just getting sauced about getting a check from the government. That's the only thing I can kind of tie it to. I don't like to throw the story on it. Full disclosure, I'm a fairly large shareholder in Costco. By fairly large, it's I just say it's fairly large, but it's nothing really large in my portfolio, about 7%. But I go to Costco and I watch what people buy. I don't sit like there with the creepy guy because they don't let you sit there anymore and eat your hot dog or pizza. But I just peruse on people's carts and what are they buying? Are they buying more electronics? Are they buying more toilet paper? What are they doing? Again, I can for say Costco had their toilet paper stock on wrap. They had both large freezer sections in the middle. They built these huge castles out of all the toilet paper rolls. So Costco, my Costco here, is fully stocked in toilet paper now. With that being said, I always look at the newer brands like Tattoo Chef. That was a brand that I see a lot. Beyond Meat was one that I saw in Costco as well. And full disclosure I never, this is just from my four eyes, that I don't see a lot of tattoo chefs in people's carts. I really don't see people opening the freezer door to getting it. I always see it fully really stocked in the little category they have, and they have like 4 or 5 different varieties of this tattoo chef. I'm not like, I buy it. I love the cauliflower Mexican street corn blend. It's fantastic. But some of the other ones are not that tasteful, to my opinion. But seeing this, I think I saw a lot of people buying TVs. Like, I don't know if it was like a New Year's resolutions. Everyone just wanted to buy a TV, but yeah. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. Let's just go back to MasterCard here. We're looking to potentially test and break above 367. So 367, again, that next target's going to be around $412. For whatever reasons, these card processing companies are going substantially higher. Fish, what's up, my friend? GTFO, what up? Let's see. QS dip looking scary. Yes. And I think, are you still in that? I'm still in it. I sold a lot of it around this, like 125 to, I think it was like 120 to 125. Pretty massive here. This again, this can come all the way down to around $65. And this trend will still be somewhat intact. It can even come down to $42, and that trend will still be pretty much intact. I think really a lot of selling going through. It is hitting its parabolic SAR dots here around $63. Again, short-term support is going to be coming around $78 to $80, but it can come all the way down to $65 to $70. And the reason why I'm giving these very broad ranges of targets is due to the fact of it's run up so much. Like, again, this stock was the SPAC. It really took off. Look at this volume over here and just did nothing for the longest period of time. Then somehow people heard or Googled that Bill Gates got into it, whatever reasons, and it just took like a bat out of hell and just continued to run up higher, really kind of creating this very aggressive momentum trade here between the 5 and 8. That being said, a little bit more longer time horizon on this. We'll see on how it plays out this coming week, especially with a lot of those EV markets could be moving with Tesla. Tesla moving the market, of course, and then NIO day, which is really, we just talked about earlier with the Google Trends. A lot of people are starting to search that, and wouldn't call them dumb money or smart money, but there's a lot of money being pushed into NIO in the next coming weeks for sure. If it's shorting it, going long, but there's a lot of people, there's a lot of eyeballs right now on NIO too. GTFO, I always feel bad for people buying the top because, again, that's never a good feeling. Daniel, can we take a look at Apple? You very welcome. Yes, like we got Apple, so AAPL. Apple, love the stock. I currently do own this as well. It is kind of hitting this wall here around 138, which we've seen it previously hit before. Again, that was right running up to the split. A little bit of more of aggressive movement again, but I think this is pretty much not a sure winner. I don't think anything's sure, but this thing has been, if it does trade in the trend, which it has in the past from that previous low that we saw in March, it holds a 21 to 34 EMA. So initially, if it does pull back, we could see some levels around 130 to even down to 125. Again, it's going to change on a daily basis due to the fact of, hey, these are very aggressive movements that we're seeing here if we do get a pullback or some kind of correction in the overall market. But if it does break out above this 138, which I think it will, I just don't know when, I have some targets at 166 and then 200 for it potentially to be met. Because again, with everyone potentially getting $600 to even $2,000, again, that story constantly changes from what I read in the sense of people are going to be buying AirPods, people are going to be upgrading their phone, people are going to be buying an iPad, all that kind of stuff. I think definitely a lot of folks from what I saw got Apple products as well for the holiday season. Brian, what's up, my friend? How you doing? A Big C. Yeah, Big C had a nice little move, but then it gave it right back. I think this is a lot to do with the potential mandate for accounting practices for the Chinese stuff traded here on the U.S. Side. Sorry, my ankle's itching. With that being said, this thing has been really beaten up here, and I haven't actually looked at this for a while. Especially being somewhat of a newer IPO, and it had such a large move out of the gate here, basically going from basically $70 up to 162 and just giving it all back, having a dead cat bounce, and now just kind of trading sideways, hitting an all-time low just in the last close of the year at $63.54. I'm a little bit more hesitant here. I would like to see it potentially kind of build a base here around that 165 range. Can it go lower? Yes, anything can go lower. It can go down to zero. But this is really an interesting one to look out for just because it has had these massive moves in its past. Doesn't mean it's going to happen again, but there is potentially a lot of negative territory on here because we are seeing the 5 and 8 moving averages. They're below the 21 EMA. And again, if you're just looking at the chart, those moving averages are kind of pointing somewhat aggressively to the ground. So I really don't want to be really touch this with a 10-foot pole if you're long it. We should build some TP forks for sure. Let's see here. Let's see. GS, someone was Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs on a tear, right? Insane, right? This thing is fantastic. I think it's, again, for whatever reasons, they're gangbusters due to the fact of their multiple IPOs that they're like the lead co-writer on, lead writer on, or lead IPO bank that's taking this public. Overwhelming amount of momentum here. Again, this is a banking stock. This is not like a Tesla or some kind of EV stock. This has been holding the 5 and 8 moving averages for quite some time and really breaking out here. If this trend wants to continue holding the 5 and 8 moving averages, we're going to be looking for around $282.75. But that being said, we have some initial support on the short term around 155. If that breaks, we're going to be looking down to around 255 and then down to 245 for the initial support going there. MGNI. Wow. Okay, this thing is really taking off as well. Let's see here. Interesting, yeah. Again, was this a SPAC or okay? It was less than a SPAC. Really got beaten down here. Did nothing for quite some time. Really kind of ricocheted off here on its last quarter and just took off for whatever reason. With that movement we're seeing here, short-term support's really going to be coming down to around $28 to $26, and then some stronger support coming in around $25 to $21. The reason why I'm giving those broad ranges is because it's gapped up multiple days. Like, look at these large gap ups and a lot of moves in a very short period of time. Again, it's been very aggressive. It moves up, builds sideways, moves up potentially again. If this builds sideways, we're going to be looking for some targets potentially around $40. If it basically stays above $28 to $26, we could see a move up to 40 before we see a potential move down to 20, if that makes sense. And then BLNK. I'm sorry. All right, let me charge my phone here. I got my notepad out. Boom. Take some notes just in case anything comes up. So BLNK, really again, some kind of the same play of the EV movement. We're seeing a very aggressive moves here in a very short period of time. And normally I would call them red flags, but a lot of people are getting super excited and stoked about these large EV plays and what potentially could happen and free money, whatever else. Initially, some short-term support around $43 to around $40, but some longer-dated support coming down all the way down to $30 to $28. If this trend wants to continue and potentially gets a bounce off the yellow line, which is a 21 EMA here, the next nearsighted target is around $60 to $66 to the upside. So be very mindful of that. ARBA, what is that? ARBA. Wow. Okay. So normally when I see something that is very much beaten down from basically 10 all the way down to these prices, again, it's a therapeutic company. I think you might have mentioned this one before, Sam. Is it Sam? Or sorry, San Diego Sam. Yeah. Once it gets beaten down like this and this enormous amount of volume comes in, it really the damage has been done. It's literally, if it was a battleship, it has been damaged. It's taking on water. It has patched up because it's not continued to bleed lower, but it's hitting into that territory where there might not be a recovery from this. That being said, it's the therapeutic pharmaceutical company, so they can come out and say something else and really blow up the stock as something. I'm not a huge fan of shorting at all, actually, pharmaceutical companies, because again, the news and releases and the different other various studies can just really rip your hair off on the stock, because again, it's going to be very not very much telling on that. With that being said, there's not really much I could say here. Basically, looking at some support around the 250-ish range to around the $3, and just kind of been bouncing around, because again, it looks like it's trying to build a base here, but it's having a little bit of trouble because it's not really getting any kind of catch higher here, because again, we're not really trying to break out here. We kind of have tried to break out above 340-ish, but we really haven't seen much from there. Greg N, what's up? INAQ, it's up. It has running up a bit because of Mark Cuban and Chamath Palihapitiya. Let's see here. Yeah, again, what I've talked about with SPACs is that, hey, it's the reason why a lot of people invest in a SPAC, because again, you have no idea what when a SPAC is first listed, it's usually around the $10-ish range. It kind of bounces around between $11 to $9 and just bounces around. But if it has a certain name attached to it, like you see with Bill Ackman's PSTH, it has been just gangbusters. Again, that one's a little bit differently structured, the way their shares are allocated, and how the warrants work once the company or they find something to acquire or take public. They're really, the way the structure is working out, from my understanding, is that they're really rewarding the folks that are actually holding the stock through the merger, and then even after that, they get a substantial larger piece in the company. With that being said, with these SPACs, most of the people, they don't even know who's running the company. They're like, oh, it's Bill, and it's what would the Greg? Yeah, Greg and this guy is running this this SPAC, and they have done great things in the past, but no one literally knows the name. Everyone knows the name Mark Cuban, who knows anything about stocks or investing, and everyone knows Chamath Palihapitiya. I know I've messed that name up multiple times. If they know anything about stocks and investing and anything within the tech industry. So if a SPAC or anything like that has those two names tied to it, it really just it gives it a little bit of higher premium. So with that being said, is it fair? I don't know. I have no idea who they're acquiring and what they're doing. Is this the one with is this the SPAC that they did for insurance company? Is this the one where the something mile, or it's the company where they're doing the what is it? Oh my gosh, the insurance, but you only pay as if you put a little device in your car and it basically tracks it. Like if you only drove your car 30 miles in 1 month, you only pay for that usage. You just don't have a flat rate. It's kind of like a variable rate with that. But yeah, if it's I like Mark Cuban, I like Chamath. Like, if you have a couple shekels, why don't you just put some cash into it? Yeah, I was gonna ask when someone's gonna be talking about BNGO. So I just did a video about this yesterday, I think I did. And I got a little hate on it. I got some emails and some pings about it, and then a couple comments of like, Ken, you're a stupid idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. You didn't read the articles. It's life-changing technology, Ken. Ken, you're stupid. You're ugly. You have okay hair. Your teeth are messed up. Whatever. All the negative stuff. None of them really talked about the stock, but that's fine. With my complete thesis on it was like, no matter what the technology is, this is I want to call it a pump and dump. It's a very fast momentum trade. Usually with these very fast momentum trades, it usually comes down pretty fast. It's like in a rocket up and then an elevator down. Like it can come smashing down here pretty fast here if there isn't any news, or all the people who are looking at the shiny lights of cash, and they just turn over here and they start running to this other stock because this other stock has the potential of changing the world. Like, this stuff happens on a daily basis. Like, but this just so happens that BNGO got a lot of press. They had a great publicist. Is that a person? Yeah, great publicist and marketing team to really look at this. And then again, you have a couple notifications about ARK looking at it or whatever, which again, if you look at ARKG, they have not bought this stock. I could not see it as of the close of 2020. They have not purchased this stock for the ARKG fund. Again, this is the genomics new leading pharmaceutical stuff. They haven't purchased it. So with that being said, it's going to be very difficult to kind of put prices on it because it's very drastic FOMO driven stuff. With that being said, we could see it up to $5.50. We can easily see it up to $10 or $8.75. I have no idea where it could be. I have no crystal ball here. But if the overall herd of this stock just decides to take money out or move on to the next thing, we can see this back down to $1.50 to $1. So just wanted to give that shout out to let people know and be very careful with that. And speaking of BNGO, if everyone will give a little round of applause to Ariel, he's the one who brought that to my attention. He's the one in the chat right now with the orange A. He's the individual. Again, where did you find that on Stock Twits, right? Or it just came to you in a dream? Tesla. We look at Tesla a little fast. Let's see here. Yeah, Tesla. Again, people get a little upset when I talk about my Tesla bull thesis. Again, if this trend continues, we talked about Tesla. It's looking like they think they reached nearly close to the 500,000 cars. We're looking to see the data on, especially in China, of how strong the Model 3 and potentially the Model Y are really selling in China. We've got NIO day coming up this week as well. So this trend is still holding. We're looking for, it seems extreme, $863. That's kind of the next fib number. But that being said, it's been holding that 5 and 8 moving averages multiple times. We have somewhat of a cup here and potentially a breakout here, but I could also see us kind of hovering around that $700 range for some time. If we do get a pullback, it's going to be significant. We're going to be looking for some initial support around $650. Let's see here. Oh, did you ping something here? Oh, AI. Wait. Sorry, my chat is looking at this. AIV. Apartment Investment Management. Yikes. What happened here? That looks terrible. Are they going for like bankruptcy or something? What? Oh, they did a split. Ah, okay. They did a split here. That was a little confusing. Interesting stock. That's very strange. Let me look at a longer time frame. Yeah, that's crazy. They must have really released some terrible news here, and this really jolted the price lower. Really hard to kind of capture the fibs here, just because it's kind of building a base here around $4, $4.50, $4.60. But this is, again, like, this is more or less, you have to kind of check the news on this one because of the aggressive downward move here. But that literally got hit with a shovel across the head there. Massive dividend and options. Let's see here. They have options in December here. Okay, interesting. March, February. There's not the substantial amount of options here. these like 750s are interested here in like the June 18th, 2021. They're pretty thin too. They're only between 40 and 50 cents. Are these the ones you're talking about, Ariel? I'll write it down. I'm writing it down. This is definitely an interesting one. Again, yeah, buying lower options at this price, and if it gets any kind of push back up to even $10, those options will print like crazy. NNDM, yes, we can look at NNDM. This is one that has really taken off. Again, you can see that with, if you just do the Google Trends search, and as well as the company raising multiple stages. And the CEO seems very competent from what I've seen in the multiple, like 2 or 3 interviews that he's done, where he's like, listen, we just got like $650 million worth of stock offerings. We're not going to spend it on sales and marketing because no one's going into the laboratory right now to the full extent where it could be. So we're going to spend a lot of the money on research right now, and we're going to grow our market segment, which again, they're the leader in because there is no other company as of right now that can combine 2 components into a 3D printer where it basically spits out the circuit boards on 3 different layers. So they have the technology advantage on that. I think everyone knows at this point that ARK loves this stock as well. We do have some strong targets around $11.42. And then really what the consensus is around $16 to $20 could be the next potential stronger move up. Again, newer technology. This is not your 3D printing company that you see that you can just have on your desktop and just download a CAT file and just print out a little troll or like a little spaceship or a little boat. This is like a very high-end manufacturing for anything from defense companies. A lot of research firms are going to be potentially using this, and it's basically the size of a refrigerator, and they're able to print these very high grade circuit boards that can be used from anything. Again, anything at this point in day runs off a circuit board. So again, I think without saying is it's a pretty substantial move that we could see this with stock, even though the stock was 50 cents just a couple months ago, right? Like there's a lot of hype on it. Ariel saying 9% of the company is owned by ARK. Oh, I didn't know it was all 9%. Wow. Let's see. What else do you say? Oh, Bison and AAR. AAR is not loading for me. I went bankruptcy. What? On the 5th of year 2012? I don't see that one. And then BZUM. Oh, N. BZUN. Yeah, this thing has been beaten up as well. This is the one that ARK also owns as well. Really hitting a lot of topping here at 45. I want you to put alert on this one. This one looks interesting. It's kind of making somewhat of a recovery here. We are seeing in the short term the 5 and 8 kind of starting to build a base. If this has any kind of staying power, we need to really see it above $35. But this is definitely again, within, I believe this is a pharmaceutical company, that we could see some potential movement here. On the weekly chart, you're really kind of seeing it really dip lower here. Even during the pandemic, it just kind of was trading sideways. It was a $63, $70 stock nearly just a couple years ago, but it has just kind of been declining, moving up, declining, and trading sideways. So definitely really need to keep an eye on this one to kind of see how it plays out, especially on the weekly chart. We have the 5 and 8 below it here. Great time to potentially buy options and buy leaps on it if you really truly believe in the company or has some kind of catalyst going out for a couple months. So yeah, definitely put on the list. I love it a lot. Oh, they did bleed in the, okay. Oh, you said air. Okay. Ooh, I like this one. This is a nice one. I have no idea what this is. This is very interesting. I like this like really strong uptrend here. We have a squeeze, high RSI and high volume zone oscillator with like no negative crossovers. And we are seeing really strong continuous direction to the upside. So I really do, I like this one a lot. I like this a lot. Oh, it's a big e-commerce in China. Okay, Bizun. Interesting. It's all on the list, my friend. Someone saying mental run NNDM to 15 this week. Buy in, folks. Yeah, a lot of people love NNDM. A lot of people love NIO, and people are super excited about that as well. Trevor, I do somewhat agree to you in the sense of looking at NIO as basically buy the rumor and then sell the news. It should basically already be priced in, but I think what a lot of people, especially in the options market, don't really look into is the human emotion behind a lot of the stuff. So if you can place a trade because of the mass hysteria behind the aggressive movements within said stock because there's a cult behind it or they just truly believe in it, it could definitely run up there and at a very extreme prices really fast. Even though, just look at Nikola. Like I can't say it enough. Like everyone saw the writing on the wall. Like with their whole deal with GM and then all the other stuff. Like they're like, how is this stock going higher? They literally did this, and that. The CEO, chairman guy is gone. Like all this other kind of stuff. And now I'm just seeing this finally coming in towards the end of the year, the negative component into it, and really seeing it potentially even break that 1480 or below. Like I think Nikola is definitely going to be going potentially below 10 to even $4. Like those are some price targets that I have for it. Again, no harm for the company. It just sadly that it had too much of a run up and too much of the wrong publicity, and really is not getting smacked in the face. Okay, guys, you guys are killing it. Like I usually have like 30, 40 people on the stream. I got there's a lot of people in here. I appreciate it, guys and gals. Wow. Okay, the chat's moving really fast. Sorry, my eyes is moving. Okay, I saw something I wanted to talk about. Where was it? It was someone. Lemonade. Yes, Lemonade. We can look at Lemonade. This stock missed out of this one. It was on my radar. It really was. It was something to really look out. This stock was a newer IPO towards the last year. Really kind of had somewhat of a move and then did nothing for literally months, and then just out of nowhere got some beat and raises from analysts. More people got looking into it. People were like, oh, this is pretty neat technology. This company is really changing. Had a huge run up here, kind of hit that wall around 128 to 130. If we do get a pullback, we're going to, in the short term, we're going to be looking for around 117 to 110, and then substantially stronger support around the 103 to 96. Again, the reason for these very large ranges is because it has gapped up multiple days on the chart, very large red and green candles, so that really makes it in a very aggressive pattern and very aggressive chart. But you're looking at it here, that trend has kicked higher here. The RSI and volumes on Oscar are not printing anything as overbought yet. So if we do get a pullback to around 110, I think this might be a nice little movement higher here, even to, I'm going to move that a little bit higher. If we do get a correction or some kind of movement, that we could, in the long run, it seems crazy, but 180 is going to be the next price target for this one. But again, that's a very aggressive movement. But again, the IV and ATR are screaming red on this. So ATR is the average range, basically using a rating of average moves over a period of time. I believe I have mine set at 21 or 50. It uses that rating on what the potential moves to the up or downside could be on a daily basis. But with the IV being at 87.2, this thing just screams selling premium. And this is something I would like to be selling premium around the 21 EMA, honestly. All right, guys, you guys are killing it. Okay, there's a lot of stuff coming in. SS is saying NIO to 60. Godspeed, I really do hope so. T-Doc, Richard. Yeah, I saw T-Doc. So T-Doc, again, really looking at diving into ARK's investment, especially with T-Doc being a very large portion on multiple of their funds. Like, they're really turning this into very high conviction rate in the sense of on what they're buying. Again, they're putting their money where their mouth is because they are buying the stock, even though it really hasn't done, and actually done, like, gone down for the year towards the end of the year, because again, a lot of people had it as a complete pandemic and trade on the virus. But I kind of feel that it's a little bit silly. I think it's kind of like, I can see more of the pandemic play on Zoom. So we'll look at Zoom here in a second. But this thing is like technology. Like, how many people, just on raising your hand in the chat, is like hating to go to the doctor, hating to check in? It reminds me of that Larry David or Curb Your Enthusiasm bit, and like I think it's one of the first episodes where like he was fighting to get into the elevator and fighting with this woman to get into the doctor's office first so he can sign his name in and see the doctor first, and it was a whole policy thing. Anyways, I love Larry David. But this thing, it's just really showing groundbreaking technology. Because I can pull up my cell phone and get on a queue and wait in my house while I'm sipping on coffee or doing whatever else, playing a video game or looking at charts, and just waiting for my doctor to pick up, and I can talk to him and deal with. I wouldn't say you can't do surgery through the phone yet, but you can definitely ask questions and write easy prescriptions for a lot of cases of hey, I was doing some yard work and I fell in the bushes. I got poison ivy. Can you write me a prescription? Sure, Ken. Here you go. Boom. Take it. Go over to my my Walgreens and get my prescription. I don't have to deal with a doctor and all that kinds of stuff. So I think, long story short, I see where this is going, and I can definitely see this potentially going higher. That being said, it's kind of in a weird place right now. I have some strong support around 187, but a lot of overhead pressure around 216. So with that being said, we're really kind of in a bouncing territory and just kind of waiting to see on what happens here. I don't know why this went away. Let's go move this up and update this. I'm really just kind of waiting and sitting and waiting on your hands and seeing if this continues going higher or just trading sideways, and just kind of waiting for a potential breakout. I honestly believe this is like a longer term holding stock. So you're going to be potentially holding this for 2-3 years and really seeing that technology come through and see mass adoption for it. All right there, folks. Let's see here. You guys are killing it. I appreciate it, everyone. You guys are putting in a lot of things. Let's see here. You have 40,000 shares of NIO. Wow, God bless you. mRNA, yeah, I see that coming up quite a bit in the chat. So this one is also one really playing the blockchain, Bitcoin. Of course, we're seeing Bitcoin at let's just call it $34,000 right now. Again, it's up 15% again on a Sunday here, even though the overall market's somewhat flat and down. But we're seeing gold up too. So that's a little bit weird. Not weird. I don't like to compare things, but seeing gold and Bitcoin up at the same time is kind of an interesting play. But that being said, with these kind of very large moves that we're seeing up, being somewhat of a correlation and trading kind of not directly with the price of Bitcoin, but kind of following its wake, we potentially could see it down to $8.86. But that being said, that next target to the upside is around $17.59, or basically like $18 range, to potentially see if we do get an extended price move with that really large move that we're seeing in Bitcoin as of right now. But you have to be very careful with this one again. A lot of folks are just buying this on momentum here. Again, I don't know the company very well at all. Evan, yeah, WMT. I kind of like Walmart here as well. Great call in there. It's kind of coming down to some previous support around 142. It has been beaten down. I'm kind of playing again. Everyone's getting that $600 to $2,000 check, potentially even more. What are they going to buy? Most folks, God bless them, have done okay during the lockdowns and the pandemic, but some folks have been hit substantially harder and really feeling the pain. But that being said, I think a lot of people are just going to be going to Walmart, Amazon, all the various components, and just not just buying TVs, but buying and just really going out and enjoying life. I think really seeing an explosion in, once the vaccine and stuff comes out, I think towards the tail end of spring into summer, we're going to see a lot of aggressive moves, especially within not outdoor stuff, but just traveling, concerts, all this kind of stuff. We could see a lot of folks really getting really enthused by it and just going out and spending cash, and especially just going back out to restaurants and things like that. I think this is definitely be a key play. I don't know why it's down, but I own Walmart as well, and I really do like it at that 142 range, potentially trying to run back up to 130. Richard, thank you for the $3. Thumbs up to you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You didn't have to do that. Let's see here. Is Dogcoin a buy? I don't trade cryptos, so I do apologize for that. I just only own some Bitcoin. I don't trade any cryptos as of right now. Anything really spreading outside of the wheelhouse of Ethereum or Bitcoin. Because again, a lot of the things that I trade is even on Tastyworks or Thinkorswim, they're not even available to purchase as well. Yes, I agree. I think bank stocks are really taking off, so that's why I own XLF. So this is a ETF that has the exposure to the U.S. banks here. I think this setup is actually a very beautiful trade, and I appreciate you for bringing that into everyone's attention here. Really seeing that strong support around 28.41 and seeing that potentially to run up to $31 to kind of test its pre-pandemic kind of levels here, with some very aggressive targets around $35 for the year. With that being said, everyone's getting money into their bank accounts. People are cashing checks, direct deposits. That's a lot of money for the banks to handle at one time. We're talking about what's the bill at, like $1 trillion or whatever. That being said, I think we, again, really coming back to that narrative of we could really see a huge increase in travel, concerts, all those stocks that have been really beaten down. I think a lot of people are going to be running to Mickey's house, aka Disney World, and really once everyone gets vaccinated, when we get the all clear, I think that would be a very large move, with a lot of people spending a lot of cash. At the same time, the banks love it because guess what? We've kind of made through the worst. This was clearly the worst because, again, everyone thought that everyone's going to be turning into zombies and everything's going to crash and houses are going to burn, blah, blah, blah. Found out that it was pretty bad, but we were making through it. My only concerns now is kind of looking at potentially on how the overall market could recover from it, and really keeping an eye on the technology, the travel and the airline stuff. So very mindful of that, and thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention. Look at DHI. Yeah, is that a home builder? Is that DR Horton? Yeah. DR Horton, I love this one as well. This thing looks interesting. It's kind of coming down. I wanted to see it above here. I kind of like that support kind of coming down to DR Horton. So it has been very beaten up. Again, the house play, everyone's leaving the city and going to the outskirts or whatever. This is a very interesting play here. Initially coming down to $68 to potentially get a bounce here. But that being said, it has been beaten up. I kind of like this potentially. We do have earnings coming up. So again, looking at the banking stocks, we have earnings coming out for banking stocks. And I think the second week of this month, again, earnings season is starting back up again. And that's going to be some of the largest earnings for a lot of the companies. Again, most companies capitalize most of their flow of cash and revenue during the holiday season. Again, it's going to be really relying on a lot of retail stores, and then again, the overall movement of just money spent in those last quarter of the year is very substantial to see on how the potentially runs up to the next year. So very, very, very mindful of that. Looking for this potentially to kind of hit this here. It has hit the 144 EMA before, but this is definitely a interesting one I want to add to my list. So I appreciate that one to bring to my attention, and really see this potentially to continue to go higher. Thomas Lee, yeah, I just saw yours. PLTR, yes. This one, I think it just kind of sold off towards the end of the year because people were just taking profits and not wanting to roll it. I don't know why. But that being said, we can see this movement kind of come in here. It is hitting off the 34 EMA here. This is kind of the fact that we were talking about before on how people were like, hey, there's a shiny object over there, and everyone just kind of runs over there, looks at it. But once that light turns off, they look at that light over there, and all the mosquitoes and flies and insects fly to that new shiny object. I think PLTR had its day. I think it's still a great, fantastic company, but I think it can kind of consolidate here a little bit. I have to give somewhat props to Citron, even though it kind of hurts me doing that. It has been, they were somewhat right on it, that it's going to be potentially closing closer to 20 than 30. And they're somewhat right on that, but this can come back down to all the way to $21, and it still would be somewhat of a trend here. In the short term, if we do get the 5 and 8 on the daily chart crossing through the 21 EMA, this could get some potential downside to, again, that $20 price target. But if we get a bounce here at those ranges, we could, again, try to come up to that 28, which we've seen multiple stop outs there before. Jared, thank you for coming a member. I appreciate that. A live stream member, I really do appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it looks like you actually also had a question here. You said Redfin, Zillow, Open Door, all are good in the long term. Yes, I love Open, fantastic. Which was, I think it was IPOB. Really kind of selling off here a little bit. We have some initial short-term support around $21. I think that this is just I won't say a no-brainer. This is, again, a lot of new technology. I think there was a lot of heavy momentum in this, and everyone who owned IPOB is now putting their money in IPOC, IPOD, and so forth down the range. Needs to kind of shake out the weak hands here, but I think that's a great play. Zillow, I love my Zillow. Ticker symbol Z here, kind of coming down to some initial short-term support around 125 to 126. Potentially could see this kind of bounce off here and recover here, but it can come all the way down to 120 to 121, and that overall trend would be just fine here with some key targets around 157 all the way up here in the long run. So very mindful of that and really seeing that potentially see some recoveries in it. Because again, is the housing play all over said and done? I don't think so. I think the housing market is going to definitely kick on coming into the spring. Because again, if you know anything about real estate, like the winter season, especially in the areas that we live, is a little bit, and again, the East Coast is a little bit slower towards this time of year because, again, a lot of all the holidays, the colder weather, and of course the pandemic, and has really slowed things down. But really seeing this potentially ratcheting up this year as well with the expansions of Open Doors, Zillow, and things like that. So I really do appreciate that. So great calls on that one, my friend. Oh, we got another member. Boy, okay, thank you for the other. How do you say Kale boy? I don't know how to say that in last name, but I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Didn't have to. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you, thank you. Mahalo. That means hello, correct? Does it mean hello and goodbye? So I did see quite a few tickers come through of Tattoo Chef, right? I said that's TT. So if you missed my small, tiny bit towards the beginning of the stream, which I kind of talked about Costco, and that's kind of how I do a little bit of my groundwork on looking at not trends, but just seeing what people are buying. Because again, there's no other place to really get, I think, the best picture of what people are buying. Like, are people buying a lot of Beyond Meat? Are a lot of people buying TVs? Are a lot of people buying Apple AirPods? Whatever. Like, you can really see in this. Again, if you see me at Costco, tell me, hey, quit looking at my cart. I won't look at your cart. But you can just, again, just look on what the trends are. Again, what is Costco selling? What does Costco think is a good brand? And Tattoo Chef is a very heavy product that they have, I believe, almost 6 freezer doors in my Costco of Tattoo Chef products, from their cauliflower blend mix, which I love. Some of the other vegetables I'm not the biggest fan of, on some of the seasoning. But the only thing is like, I'm not seeing that same like love that I saw within Beyond Meat in Tattoo Chef. That being said, I'm a little bit hesitant about this one just because I'm not seeing the mass adoption of it as we saw with Beyond Meat. Great product, I love it, but I don't see it flying off the shelf here. With that, basically, we have some initial overhead pressure, basically around 26 to 24.60, and really kind of seeing on how that plays out. A very aggressive downward move. Again, this is somewhat of a topping pattern that we saw some overall resistance previously. That doesn't mean it has to stop it there again, but it just kind of lets folks know, because again, the psychology of the trade is like, hey, people bought in. If again, just looking at the volume bars, a lot of folks bought in here on the dip, basically around like that $19 to $20 range. Then kind of went sideways and then really tanked here. And we didn't really see substantial amount of volume until we saw that tear up above 19 again. So that 19, so $21 to around $19 is a very core strength initially in the short term, but there's going to be a lot more support coming around that 17 to around 16, high 16 range. But this is definitely a very strange pattern, and I'm a little bit hesitant about it because I think there is a little bit of FOMO in there, and a lot of people just pumping it up just a little bit. I don't know, but yeah. But again, it's a hard one to look at. But again, for me, initial support around $21, and we'll see on how it plays out there. But again, just looking at the chart, it has some overall pressure here around $26 to $27. So be very, very careful about that one. I saw someone say NVIDIA. Yes, NVIDIA. Talk about a stock doing nothing. This thing has done absolutely zero nada forever. Like, look at this tight, very tight like a tiger. 5 points. Whoever knows where that line is from. If that the saying tight like a tiger. Really seeing this really hold around basically the 542 to 515, and really seeing next to nothing kind of come through here. Very tight capitulation, kind of bouncing around like a ping pong ball, and really seeing waiting for a market move, really seeing if it's going to break above 542, or if it's going to break below the 514 to 515. Again, it's just kind of trending sideways. The falling parabolic SAR dots is kind of hinting that it potentially could try to. Austin Powers, who said it? Who said Austin Powers? I saw it just fly by. Makeshift, yes, thank you. I think you got it right. It was from Gold Member. Tight like a tiger. That being said, we have some not strong support, but we do have like basically 1, 2, 3 stoppages around the 514, 11. Let's just call it 515. We do have a squeeze setting up here. RSI and volume zone are setting up pretty nice. They're basically all in dormant mode. If we do get any kind of chance to rocket higher here, we really could see this potentially scorch higher here to that 516 to even testing its all-time high. But it's really going to be really high going into what potentially we could see with the overall market. I'm more of an optimist, and I definitely would love to see this higher, but there has been damage done to this. So this is kind of a stock where I would like to potentially sell some premium on it, potentially selling some premium or some puts around the $500 range. Jared says CLSK. Is that also an ARC stock? Wow. That's a crazy move here. Wow. Wowzers. Yep. So this one's going to be very difficult to do some fibs as well, but we can do some shorter dated fibs here. This was a penny stock. Initially looking for some targets around 30, kind of a round number, but looking for 38 to be the next potential upside. It's going to be a little bit difficult because it has made a pretty impressive moves here, holding that 5 and 8 moving averages, and just continue to grind higher here. Because again, on the daily chart here, we have some short-term support coming around 25, so it can literally drop $5 and that trend will still be intact. That could shake out quite a few folks if we do get an aggressive move down like that, and then initially coming in around $20 as well for some longer dated support. But again, this is a very remarkable move here, because again, this stock was 97 cents just a couple months ago. So just put that in the retrospect of that. I saw a lot of BNGOs. We did BNGO as well, music already. So BNGO, we kind of just gave it I don't know. But what we can look at is at the fib numbers. So to the upside, it's going to be 350, 350, 550, 875, 14, and then 2251. Some fib moves we could potentially looking at, but again, those will change on a running basis, because again, we're hitting all-time highs as we speak, and just continue to run here. So the next level is gonna be around $4.34 coming in Monday. So 434, 549, $8.68, and then $13.89. Some downside support in the short term, basically 224 and even down to 150. Those are the short dated supports. The reason why I'm giving those very wide numbers, just look at the stock. The stock was 25 cents a couple weeks ago. Now it's at $4. So very aggressive move, a lot of momentum behind this. I understand it's fantastic technology. God bless them. I hope they do well. I'm just a little bit afraid of people just getting a little bit too frothy here and really seeing people putting in too much capital or not really understanding the complete risk of a very aggressive momentum trade. So that is for BNGO as well to the downside. So be careful, be careful, be careful. XL, a good dip buy. XL is that company. I have to do more research on these, so you have to be very careful with these EV plays. I always get this is the one that does the trucking one. This is kind of like the same wheelhouse as like Helion, which is HLNY or whatever it is. A little strange here. I don't want to be going at this full throttle because, again, I would be very mindful of what we're looking at here. It's very new to the market. As you see, it's only been trading for literally less than about a week now. We definitely will see on how this one plays out in the run here. Just not looking at the most positive as of right now because we had that huge kick higher and this kind of a sell-off. We saw a lot of these with these IPOs coming forth as well, but definitely seeing some consolidation going through there. Jared, I agree with you on that one. Yeah, I think that's what a momentum play usually comes down to is people see it on their trending tab, or if it's on like high aggressive volume and they're just buying it because it has that volume. It's perfect for day trading. Guys, you guys are killing it in chat. I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for coming and joining. I really do appreciate it. This is insane. Sue says, Baba, please. Yes, Baba. I'm surprised it took this long for someone to. Maybe I didn't see it. Alibaba, Ali blah blah as they call it as well. Really seeing some kind of a resurgence in this. Again, we saw the Chinese antitrust, which I didn't even know they had that department within the Chinese government. The antitrust probe, and really seeing getting tanked into last week, coming down to the low of basically like 210, bouncing here. The trend is still kind of looking at going lower here, just in the fact of because the 5-day moving averages is somewhat aggressively still pointing down, and we're not seeing a trend change or any kind of base building. So for base building, what do I mean by that? So base building basically means I need at least a 2 to 3 week range, potentially on a daily chart, to kind of hold some kind of price here and not get any kind of further aggressive downward movement. You never know without certainty without any issues, because again, the Chinese-based company, yes, it does trade here in the US, but the Chinese government can do whatever and slap you around, cut you, whatever. They can give you a haircut really easily without any problems and just doing it without even blinking an eye. So this is somewhat of a risk factor when you're investing something that is a pure Chinese company play, rather than if it's like a Tesla or an Amazon or something like that. With that being said, we really need to see it back above 250 to really prove that we get any kind of movement higher. So yeah, that's definitely something I need to keep my eye on. So let's see here. Yeah, QS is definitely could sell off as well. I think, yeah, if we talked about it earlier, QS is definitely something that could substantially give some money back without a doubt, because that has definitely run up quite a bit. Yeah. Let's see here. I saw someone talk about, hold on. Angela Adams says D King. So DraftKings, this is a stock that I have been burnt really hard this year, and it's kind of somewhat of my do not touch with a 10-foot pole list, even though that I think it's an interesting play as well. We're seeing here on the daily chart some issues here. It was trading sideways between that 53 to 47 for some time. Now we're somewhat seeing it kind of coming through here and potentially kind of selling off here a little bit. If we stay above that 47, the only thing is we are seeing the 5 and 8 cross through the 21 EMA and seeing that selling going into the here, potentially coming down to back down to $42 or $45 to potentially kind of create a base here. This, again, depending on how the stimulus goes and how the overall market opens up tomorrow, I think this could get somewhat of a rebound. The only thing is I need to really see this kind of really build that base that we just previously saw about. With that short, just kind of that the squeeze here, fire short here, and the 5 and 8 going through it, could it rebound and make a V-shaped recovery? Hell yes, it can. But that doesn't mean it needs to happen tomorrow. It has a little bit negative movements here because, again, we do see that aggressive movement here. Just looking at this here. So previously around, again, this is not really a fair comparison because that's when we saw the overall market really kind of tank in October. And basically going from all-time highs and kind of giving it a back substantially, and that has made a strong recovery. With this one, this does make pretty strong V-shaped recoveries. You can kind of see here, it just goes lower, then bounces, goes lower, bounces, goes really low, and then bounces. So could this be a bounce movement? Yes, but it also could go back down to 42. But if it wants to get any kind of staying power, for me to be a healthy trader on this one, I need to see the 5 and 8 kind of level off here and not cut to the 21 EMA. So hopefully that was helpful. Kumar, what's up, my friend? PFE, January, 45 calls. PFE is Pfizer. So Pfizer, yeah. I think a lot of people expected the stock to go through the roof and go to $50 potentially due to the vaccine news, even though I don't know how much of a position Pfizer's like market cap is invested in the vaccine and how much money they're going to be making from it. I don't think it's much of next of anything. So you bought the January 15th, a little short-term time frame there, $45 calls, a little bit further out than I would like. That's very, very out of the money for me. I don't know when you bought these. Potentially worth a roll if you can roll it to a longer dated date, because the options move for the January 15th, 2021 is basically around $1.70. Let's just call it $2. And that is pretty far away from the current stock price trading at 36. So as of right now, unless you have a lot of capital that you need to get rid of or something, it's worth a roll or maybe holding a little bit. You never know, they can bounce back. But as of looking at the options market and the options chain, they're basically saying that is a less than a, let's see what they say, a delta. So we can look at that I had the delta on here. Maybe not. It's probably around, let me have it on here. Let me see here. Pulling up my Thinkorswim. All right, Tastyworks. So I use Tastyworks for trading, trading options and so forth, and trading stock. I love it. If you're interested and want to open up an account, I have an affiliate link down below. It will help support the channel. If you sign up with more than $2,000, I think they give you 10 call options, or they give you 100 free shares of stock. So I think that you can't beat that. So looking at the 15 strike, or the January 15th $45 call. So looking at this chart, the way Tastyworks breaks it out is Basically, it's outside of the large deviation move, and they're giving it less than 1% of being in the money. So great way of just saying, like, probably not going to happen. But anything can happen, right? Guys, you guys are killing out there. I appreciate everyone's comment. Wow, I love you guys. Let's see here. Halo Ken, is Peloton back on the way up? Thoughts, please. Yeah, let's look at Peloton. I haven't looked at that one for a minute. I need to update all these targets here. So I think it's the same way of just like we just talked about Teledoc. I think the cat's out of the bag, the genie's out of the bottle, whatever metaphor you want to use. I think people are like, hey, I can get a great workout at home and not have to drive to the gym and have to wear my fancy dancy training outfit to impress the ladies over there, you know, with this gun show here. Anyways, I don't go to the gym. I know I barely walk. I need to get into exercising some more, but that's a New Year's resolution, which is, I think, is about like 30,000 billion other people's resolutions to start working out more. Anyways, you guys don't care about that. You're looking at stocks here. Initially, yeah, I think it could potentially break out here, but it's holding that fib number around 150. So that's also that 150 to 152 is a substantial Fibonacci number, but we could see it come back down to 139 to 140. But with this massive move higher, talking about its longer term subscribers, and really, I believe in the long run, they're going to be the king, potentially a longer dated stuff of having the connected home gym, on having everything from like the mirror kind of stuff to a rowing machine to weights, and this really kind of clashing with making this brand of like, hey, we're going to make the best stay-at-home gym and the best workout for the bang for your buck, and really make it very high-class quality products. That being said, Fibonacci numbers, a breakout would be basically around the 167 to 169, and then downward support be initially going to be around 140, my friend. So hopefully that was helpful. Man, you guys are killing it in chat. Kelly D, I just saw something from a little bit ago. You said about Chewy. Yeah, Chewy, again, I think this was a lot of just people taking profits towards the end of the year and just kind of giving back a little bit. There is that SPAC that's coming out for BarkBox. I don't know if that's going to be a direct competitor, because I don't think they sell dog food. I think it's more just they do subscription boxes for your dog, and you get toys and maybe treats in it at times. But that's more of a, not a gimmick, what's the right word? More of a play in the sense of just like entertainment rather than necessity. Necessity is dog food, leashes, and things like that. I think Chewy is the leader in that as well. I don't own a pet, but I see a lot of, when I look out my window, I see a lot of folks on recycling day, a lot of Chewy boxes. I see as many Chewy boxes as I see Amazon boxes. So yeah, in the long run, I think Chewy is going to be just fine. Did get a lot of selling off towards the end of the year. Initial support's going to be around $90, and then it can come down to $81 as well, potentially. Kind of find some levels there, but those are going to be some key levels. And then also, if it really wants to sell off, that $75 range would be also a level to kind of keep an eye out there. With that being said, with the longer term targets to continue and break back above 100 to test 113 to 120. Let's see here. Hopefully that was helpful for you, David. I hope that I kind of made a little too long explanation on that one. Yeah. Yep, S-Tick. That's what that is. That is correct. S-Tick is the bark box, yeah. Which I threw a couple of shekels on it, just because why not? I think it's somewhat of an underdog, no pun intended, and potentially could get a run up, even though it's not getting that much press because it's not a whatever stock. It's not a Bill Gates, Chamath Palihapitiya, or Mark Cuban SPAC. But yeah. PLTR, yeah, we did PLTR Williams, but we can do it again. Initially looking for this to hold around 23 to around that $24 level. But if we do get continuous selling with the 5 and 8 and we close below the 34 aggressively, we could see that price target come back down to $21. Again, we've had a crazy move with PLTR. We talked about potentially the, not trend change, but like people being more attracted to some other play, because again, this was a very aggressive momentum trade with a very large amount of momentum, again, coming from Wall Street Bets and a lot of those folks that were just buying it just because. And really coming into some initial resistance around 28, 24, but coming down to potentially 21 to even $18, it would be just fine for the stock to continue to kind of hold higher, potentially looking for around $21, hopefully to hold some support, because again, I still hold my shares long term with this with some leaps. So we'll see how that one plays out. GNOG, yes. So that is Golden Nugget, right? Yeah, Golden Nugget just went from LAC or whatever the company was, SPAC, into this one, selling off hard. I don't know why. Who knows why? People taking profits. I don't care. That is definitely something to look out for. Initially looking for hopefully some support around $17 and like 80-ish cents. That's basically coming into around the 50 simple moving averages. Again, this is a key component. I think most people who trade or look at the chart usually have the 50-day on here, so we'll see how that one plays out. With that being said, we could see some aggressive further downside. So we want to pull up some fibs here as well. So we're going to do a Fibonacci retracement extension here. So again, that's going to be coming down potentially to, we broke past $20. So we could be potentially coming into that, 1878 to the 1763 to potentially some levels of support. Again, it's a casino stock. They're in their gambling business. They are. And once we reopen the economy to a full place, and hopefully in a year or less, hopefully we get back to normal and folks can appreciate and throw away their hard-earned cash on the roulette table or whatever else. And I believe they have a branch, correct me if I'm wrong, that is pretty heavily in sports betting. So yeah. Yeah, solar, I was just thinking about solar. I was looking at TAN. So I invested in TAN last year and kind of sold some of it around like $95 or something like that. Um, Seeing this potentially kind of maybe take a break here. Even though the spotlight is not on the section, I think it could be doing just fine. Even though the trend is still looking like it wants to go higher. So the next target is going to be around 123 to 125, but we are still seeing that very very compliant trend here between the 5 and 8 and the 21, the 34, and the 50. Just kind of just trending higher, just maybe a little bit less volume, not super exciting right now. Just kind of slowly just kind of cruising to that potential higher price targets. Yes, so Stephen Tucker, so PSTH, there's not really much to say about PSTH because, again, it's still in that fun SPAC phase and just kind of waiting to play out. Hopefully they announce something soon, because this is my largest SPAC holding, just because of the Silver Fox, aka my oh my god, just brought his name. Oh, Pershing Square company. Oh my gosh, Bill Ackman. it's going to be hard to really do technical charts for a SPAC because, again, that just kind of just moves sideways, moves up, moves down on whatever is trending here. That being said, it is kind of breaking out above that $27 range. Next target is being around $28.94. Really just waiting on what stock they choose, like, or what company they're going to plan to take public. So yeah. Jared says FUV. Yeah, what's going on here? Yeah, it looks like it's kind of holding that 21 EMA, but it could come back down to the 1234. So kind of some initial support around 1325 to 1330. But if we do get the squeeze in this RSI not kind of level off here, we could see this going lower to, again, that $12 to $11.50. $11.50 is going to be the next stronger support to the downside. But if we do get a bounce here and we get somewhat of a bounce off those purple dots around 13, the next overhead target's going to be around $15. And seeing how that one plays out there. No, Bill Ackman is the main investor, like, behind it. Zan, yeah, we can look at MP. This is one that I've definitely traded last year as well. This somewhat, I want to call it a pump up as well. Again, a lot of these stocks have these enormous moves and just kind of leveled off here. Yeah. This is a very interesting play here, especially with a very large run up. But now we're kind of hitting up off that 21 EMA here, which is, again, a thing I like to see. And especially seeing it maybe trade sideways around $32 to $30, and maybe seeing it try to kick back higher to $4 plus. This is definitely something to keep an eye on. Again, I believe this is somewhat of a mining company that got a huge influx of volume on the charts here. But be very mindful, if we start getting the 5 and 8 crossing through the 21 EMA, we could get some substantial selling to the downside. So initially looking for some support around $30 and then down to 26. If we start getting lower below that, we could see some substantially lower prices. Rob, I know. But was he wrong with that? Like, overall, the fundamentals about that's wrong. But due to our justice system and just the way how folks can operate, they're able to run their company. But God bless them. That's a hard thing to do. Sam, we did do BNGO. We talked about BNGO multiple times. So basically, that can go anywhere from $5 to $8 tomorrow, and it can also come back down to $1.25 and even below. So I just wanted to kind of put my stamp on, like, hey, be careful. This is a very aggressive FOMO trade, so just hold on to your hat. Kale Boy says, hey, sorry, I went AFK. Did we do Fastly? No, we did not. That's actually strange that no one has talked about that as well. With that Fastly, it has had so many issues, again, around the 108 to 110 range. You're seeing that here on the chart now, hitting that level and giving it right back, kind of breaking through it. But then ever since that TikTok deal, and it really went up to some negative catalyst on that, and now we're seeing that 5 and 8 on the daily chart potentially crossing over here and seeing some targets around $83 to even $80 potentially at those key levels we saw multiple times before. With Fastly, be very careful. This could make a very fast V-shaped recovery as well. But as of right now, and looking at the chart, I don't know anything fundamentally about the company. I don't see any earnings coming up as well. Potentially kind of trading sideways here around $80 to $90 and just kind of waiting for the next catalyst to really kick it higher into some the stratosphere. Yeah, QS is definitely going to be trending tomorrow or next week because, again, it has had a pretty massive drop in price as well. Matt says FUBO dip buy. Is that streaming service? I'm not really a sports guy, so I don't know. Yeah, this is a streaming service. So yeah, I'm not. So full disclosure, there, Matt. I'm not usually a dip buyer kind of person. We could use some kind of catalyst here. It is coming down to a significant support level around that $26 to $25 range, but that doesn't mean it has to stop there. Like, this is some pretty aggressive selling. Yes, we did see an aggressive move up, and now it's kind of coming back down to earth, as they say, and really seen as potentially kind of hold here above 25.88. But if that doesn't hold and we get some substantially further selling, $22 to $19 is the next target. But if we get some fantastic news or whatever else, it just kind of gets kind of like a V-shaped recovery, maybe even stabilizes around $30, we could potentially hold those levels here again. $30 or $25.88 could be some levels of holding pattern there. Mm-hmm. Do. Any chance you like showing the leaps that you like? What leaps do I have? Are you talking about any stock or anything that I currently own? I like leaps actually. I bought some leaps in Disney actually towards the end of the year. Basically, I don't want to be talking my own game, but I bought some leaps before it had that move higher, and I bought some substantial leaps. Not about by substantial, I mean like two, around that $200 range here. So $200 call all the way out. No, I didn't buy this far out. Hold on, sorry. January 22. Yeah. So the $200 leaps that I bought, we can look at the price here. Basically paid less than like $10-ish. Yeah. I paid around $7 for those. Of course, those have gone up substantially up to nearly $20 as of right now. But this is something that, again, it's Disney. If anyone has watched me or watched the channel for more than a couple months, Disney is one of my largest positions in my portfolio. It was one of my largest recovery stocks. We added a lot to it around that $85 to $90 range, and just really held in there because we really believed in Disney Plus being the game changer for the company, even though the cruise lines, their parks and everything has been shut down and really limited. I think that the Disney company continued growing higher with the key target around $200. Caleb Boy says I have 115 SBA. That's another. Is that an EV play? Yeah. $45 call. So this one is interesting here as well. So again, I'm going to be switching over to my Tastyworks account. So here, again, if you're interested, I have a Tastyworks affiliate link down below if you're interested on checking out and creating an account with them. They currently are running a special for 10 free call options or 100 free stock if you open an account of more than $2,000 within 90 days. Anyways, jumping into this, you have the $115, $45 call. So again, it's a $5 spreads. The delta is pretty nice on this one. A lot of volume and open interest on it as well. If we do get a move with the EV kind of stocks into next week, I think this definitely could run up to that $45 range. I'm sorry, break into being in the money. My only just viewpoint on this, like these spreads are kind of wide for me. Let's see on how it reacts during market hours, but this is something I'm a little bit mindful about, especially with buying. Again, it's very short dated. Not saying it can't happen. It is a key fib level, which we've seen kind of some pullback at that level as well. But initially looking for some support around 38, we could again get that really strong V-shaped recovery and really kick higher there. Silver is about a rip. I look at SLV, AVG. Yeah, gold and silver have been a really strange market that I'm looking at here. With silver kind of trying to break out above 24.25 here. The momentum is somewhat behind it. We just need to see some volume kind of come in here and really see it potentially break above that 24.75 into that $25 to $26 range. Doesn't have a squeeze on play, but it's definitely something that I'm keeping an eye on. Well, David, I've been selling some premium in it with some puts, but initially looking for some short-term downward support around $23.92 and then coming back down to $23 on the chain on that. Wait a minute, what did you say? Duh, traders, Disney's bringing back Firefly. That would be fantastic. Wow, I didn't even know that. That's fantastic. If Disney brings back Firefly, that's a game changer. That would be fantastic if they bring that. Let's see here. Yeah, FBI. Oh, the FBI is asking for NIO. Okay, I don't want to get arrested here, even though you don't have a warrant. But NIO, yes, NIO. We showed it towards the beginning of the stream. We talked about the mass adoption, about just like the Google trend of how many people are looking for NIO, NIO stock, NIO investor day, NIO. Whatever, anything with NIO, and it has been slowly going up here. We are somewhat hitting a wall of resistance around that $50 range. If we close above 50 with some substantial volume behind it, I think this thing can easily run up back to $57 to $60. Even though it's a Chinese-based EV company, the momentum is definitely on the side of this company, and we can see that potentially kind of come back and really wrap some faces off if we do get some substantially upside moves. But on that being said, some downside support is going to be initially looking for around that $46 range. If it comes down to 46, could potentially bounce here. But that being said, initially even coming down to 42. If it starts breaking, closing below 42.86, this is something I don't want to be touching with a 10-foot pole, and that could substantially take it lower. So with NIO. GNO, yeah, we did Golden Nugget. So Golden Nugget looks like it has some initial support around that, potentially around $18 to $19. If we continue seeing that selling, we could see some really heavy damage coming through into around that 17 lower range. But looking for some initial support here. It is some very aggressive red candles here, and I don't want to be just jumping in front of that train here and just get taking that bullet in the face. Rob, what is Firefly? Firefly is one of my favorite sci-fi shows that I've ever seen in my life. So with like NIO, what would I do with an NIO for trade ideas? So if you're interested on, again, looking at NIO as a trade, what we could look at is potentially doing some kind of like just selling premium in it. You can buy some calls, but a little bit more risky on it because, again, it has some pretty large premium already baked into it. You just gotta be super careful with NIO because, again, this just moves pretty dramatically in either direction with some movements, with especially in the short term. We do have a squeeze setting up. RSI and volume zone look good, but that doesn't mean it's going to be printing higher. Just kind of looking like it's trying to break above 50. If it does break above 50, that would be very nice and very happy for the longs, of course, and really seeing it potentially come up to $53 to that $57 range. With that being said, you should be very mindful of the risk that you're taking on this one. It does have a pretty low, if you look here on the options chain, the January 15th, like look at all these calls. Guess what the call option this is? Everyone and their mother, there is 65,000 open interest at the $65 call strike price for this monthly expiration. That's insane. That's insane. Insane. That's insane. Insane. That's crazy. So, is it going to run up to $50? Maybe. I don't know. Or are people selling this? Or are people just hyping up? It literally traded 29,000 contracts on volume on that one. Like, that's insane. That's a lot. We're talking crazy amount of money there. Yeah, Kale, yeah, I think you're pretty much it. I have 3, 118, 15. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of weekly options because, again, they're a little bit light, but NIO's options volume has been pretty insane, so I think you'll be somewhat okay. Just be very careful of that time decay, though. We did XL. I kind of want to be very careful with XL due to the fact of it has been a newer stock, and there's the EV plays are. I'm not overdone. They're just like a little frothy. Wall Street bet, baby. God bless you. Farscape. That doesn't ring a bell, blah, blah. I have to look it up. Okay, hold on. Open stock. We talked about open. Of course, this is a longer term play for me. Again, I own IPO B stock really early on. Nice moves that we've seen here. Looking for some initial support around $21 to $20. But if we do get the moving averages crossing over the 21 EMA, we could be coming back down to, again, below 20, but kind of have to wait and see before it breaks some key levels. Excuse me, to the upside, we're looking to kind of break back above 30, though, even higher. But it's a longer term hold for me it's not in my trading account, it's in my longer term investing account. I'm looking for the ZM short. Yeah, so I'm not really the best short trader. Like, I don't really short a lot of things. It's definitely something to be mindful about. But I think this is pretty much just like giving somewhat of the kiss of death here. Once we hit that 413 level here, it just never got back above that 21 EMA. It gave that last kiss of death, and just now aggressively pulling back. Initial support around $325, $326. With that being said, that's just some initial support coming in around the 200 EMA. But those moving averages, again, very aggressively pointing down at a 45-degree angle, and this could be some substantially selling that we could see kind of just cut through that. Again, I think Zoom is a great technology, great thing, but I think since that trade idea is over and everyone's like, okay, We got a vaccine. Hopefully the virus is done instead and kind of controlled within the spring to summertime. And we no longer need Zoom because everything is opening back up. But we'll see how that one plays out. Okay, it's free on. I got Prime. Yeah, I definitely have to check it out on Prime. I thank you. Appreciate that. OCEN. OCEN. Okay, maybe this OC. Oh, is it GOGN? Okay. Oh, that's a penny stock. I can't touch that shit, bro or lady. That's just that is a FOMO trade if I've ever seen it. Or they announced something that is potentially going to be leveling off back down to around $1.41 or even down to $1.10. That's going to be something I can't really touch with a 10-foot pole. I'm sorry, my friend. CELH says Greer. Let's see. Okay, if I could type this. CELH. This is a okay. Interesting. Like the chart. It's beautiful looking chart actually, with the holding some tight movement here, breaking out here, and really holding that 5 and 8 moving averages and coming back down to 21 EMA. Wow. Huge move higher here, close the end of the year. Very unique chart here, but this is definitely looking like it wants to continue holding higher because again, yeah, you can see with the previous movement that we're seeing the 5 and 8 and 21 kind of come into play here, and really see this a beautiful chart potentially set up there. So I like it, but kind of has broken out before that. We did talk about Ali blah blah. We can talk about Ali blah blah. So Ali blah blah, aka Alibaba. Whew, a lot of folks got smoked on this one. Again, it's a Chinese-based company, so you have to be very careful and be very understanding of their rules and regulations, aka you don't know the rules and regulations because that could change depending on how someone wakes up out of their bed. With this, again, there has been a lot of damage done. I think this move is somewhat overplayed, but I don't know because you don't know anything in life, right? But it's a Chinese-based company, and they're having fraudulent charges pushed against them, or a probe of antitrust or whatever. Like didn't even know that those departments existed in the Chinese government. I thought it was just like uh, uh, continuous, just like fraud, not scammers, but like just like really not having the judicial system that we see here in the United States with the SEC, and is really just kind of taking actions on because the CEO really spoke up, and the chairman or the founder of Alibaba was speaking up about things and capitalism, and the Chinese government didn't like that. But again, I think there's a little bit of swaying going on there. But with this initially looking at some support around 227, we need to really see it above 250 to kind of get any kind of movement going higher. AE, any short bias thoughts? AE, what's AE? Is that American Eagle? Adams Resource and Energy. Looks like an energy company. I don't know about that. Overhead resistance around $28 to $29. It has not. We are seeing some negative territory coming into here. Looks like it's kind of selling off here a little bit due to some kind of news. So I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, Ethereum is taking off for sure. God bless you. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming out. This has been fantastic. I normally don't get anywhere near these amount of views, and I really do appreciate this. Has been a fantastic beginning of the new year's of seeing all these viewers. So I'm doing something right, I guess. Let's see, NVAX, that Novavax. That is that's a vaccine play, right? So again, like you've seen Pfizer, you've seen Moderna, and all these stocks really pulling back aggressively. We have a lot of overhead pressure, basically around that 130 to around 123. If we did get that 5 and 8 coming through here and we start breaking below 108 and closing below it, we could be coming back down to below 105 to the $100 level. So a little bit potentially negative territory, but we could get a bounce back, which we've seen here before, bouncing off 110 to 108 to the upside to around 123. Prime literally got into Ethereum on Friday and are already looking to sell. So the best way to kind of potentially understand that a little bit better is have a plan when you go into the trade of like, hey, I'm going to sell half of it if it hits at this level, and then I'm going to sell 80% at this level, or if that's to the upside, if it goes to the downside, I'm going to cut some here at this level if it breaks this and so forth. Like, it's have some kind of plan before you execute the trade. And that would help your emotions of like, oh, I wish I took some profits here right now because I think I could crash, whatever. Yeah, PLTR needs some kind of help here. It needs to kind of recover out of its potentially. It could kind of have a fall below, back down to $20 to $21. Sue says Frog. Yes, that is an interesting one. You're always coming up with some interesting stocks. So Frog, very much like I think it's beaten down stock. Very, excuse me. Very much beat down and not have seen too much love in this one. I think that this could potentially come back down to 62 or below if we get this short squeeze to fire low. But if we get any kind of good news, this thing has been a lot of negative territory. And I'm a little bit scared here. I do own a little amount of shares on this one. Nothing substantial. Again, it's only like 2 or 3% of the portfolio, but I do own a position in this. More or less having a little bit longer term view on this, because again, I do believe it could bring some great technology to the forums here, but the chart as of right now does not look pretty. Like, it does not look pretty at all. I can't. It's like trying to put makeup or lipstick on a frog, no pun intended, and making it look pretty here. If you kiss this frog, you might not get a princess. Or prince with this one. Potentially in the short term, this could be trading around and maybe coming up to around that $66 to $60 level, but kind of coming right back down. We saw multiple resistance around $70 to $71 and just kind of giving it all back. So be super mindful of, like, this one is, again, a longer term investment for me. I think it could go back down to around that $60 level as well. So be very mindful of that. We did NIO as one, whoever just spammed all that. That was a little bit annoying. Short jack. Fuzzy dice. Let's see here. Thurman Arlington says QUBT. Never heard of that one. QUBT. Quantum computing. Okay. Interesting. Did they just have a cool name, or they actually do quantum computing? This looks fantastic. Like, the name, the chart looks, very aggressive movements. Again, this was a couple dollar stock, moved aggressively higher, kind of but potentially bouncing off that 21 to 34 EMA here. So if we do get I'm a little bit scared of calling this like a dead cat bounce here. So if it starts hitting up some ranges around $16 to $18, we could get some more selling coming in. Basically, an emphasis on what a dead cat bounce is. If the stock drops dramatically, and then it kind of bounces here, but it doesn't bounce all the way back up to 25. It just bounces up normally around 50 to 61% of its initial thrust higher, aka around 1836 to 1629. We could get a potentially topping pattern here unless we get substantial amount of momentum coming in and just buying. We could see it back up to 20 and even try to break it out from there. Ricky Smith, we did Tattoo Chef. I'm a little bit hesitant about where it's currently looking at. That $28 range has been seeing a lot of topping pattern there. Let's see here. SQ, yes, I've got a lot of requests for SQ, so I did a video about it, a short YouTube short about this one. Initially looking for, again, the payment system to really take off. Again, if everyone's getting here in the United States getting a paycheck, aka increase in unemployment, increased stimulus check, this definitely is going to help the banks, especially Square and things like that. People are going to be purchasing goods, whatever, buying Bitcoin, whatever. Initially looking for some holding patterns around 220, looking for some stronger support around 210, and even down some substantially stronger support around 200. But this has recovered pretty well here, bouncing off that 34 EMA. Potentially want to see this build a base here around 220 and maybe try its way back up to 225 and seeing a break here to potentially test that all-time higher above 243 to the upside. Is MRN a buy? It's hard for me to say that one. Again, these very aggressive movements to the up and down side. Initially, I would rather see it back down to around $8 to $7.63, but who knows? With Bitcoin going higher, as we're seeing today, nearly up 16%, this thing could easily do a bout face and be looking for $17 to $18. Yeah, we talked about PSTAs, Andre Jones. Again, really much you're just basically buying and investing in Bill Ackman and just trusting him and his team to pick out a fantastic company to take public. And the premium's constantly going higher. Again, I think the initial SPAC for this one came out around $20, maybe 21, and it would just continue to grind higher here. Now we're up trading up to above where $27.50 to $28. You're really looking at the management team and trusting that Bill Ackman, aka the Silver Fox, does the due diligence on picking a fantastic stock for you. Both, you never know. Yeah, Bitcoin, again, looking at this Bitcoin chart here, huge jump higher here into this huge gap up. Normally when it gaps up, it kind of continues to run here, being very mindful that $35,000 could be a key level. I have a key level around $39,000, aka $40,000 for a potential level to potentially take some profits in, even down to that level here. But normally when it has a huge gap up on a Monday, it usually kind of continues to run here, which we've seen previously in the coming weeks, even though, again, people getting that stimulus check, and we saw last time when people got the stimulus check, they just bought Bitcoin. So not saying it's going to happen again, but history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. We did talk about BNGO. So BNGO is a stock that I want to tell everyone to be very, very careful about. because that thing is definitely going to run tomorrow, upward or downwards. I have no idea. Just the amount of momentum and eyeballs are on it. I have to be very careful and very informative of folks who are like, hey, this thing could really blow up higher or lower. So get ready for a hell of a ride, and make sure you bring your helmet and seatbelt. So that's going to definitely be an interesting one to watch to come tomorrow. APHA, this is a stock that has been somewhat kind of potentially trying to build a base here above $6.75. We did see the 5 and 8 moving averages cross through the 21 EMA. We want to see it back above 728 to 750 to potentially try to get back above $8. If that doesn't hold, we break below and close below $6.75, we could be seeing some initial support at 650, but substantial stronger support coming in around that $6 to $5.72 to the downside. So, but yeah, long term, I think that this thing has still some room to run. I think I actually own this stock. I think I do. I have to look at my chart here. I think I do. Yeah, MMEDF is something that Alpaca from our Discord has been completely all over with, and he loves it. And I think, yeah, that the pharmaceutical stocks definitely should be looking into those psychoactive drugs. PCC says RMO. Roman. Wow. This looks like some kind of SPAC that just kind of took off. Excuse me. Now it's kind of coming back here a little bit, kind of hitting off that 21 EMA. Seeing, again, these lot of red candles on a day-to-day basis scares me sometimes. I don't know the background of the company. Very high ATR, again, average true range, and the IV is through the roof due to the amount of selling that we're seeing in this one. So this thing could come down to initially $20 and the trend will still be somewhat fine, but this is some, excuse me, aggressive downward movement in the stock. So a little bit careful on that one. ALPN. AL. My fingers are falling asleep. Sorry, folks. Is this some kind of, okay, immunity science, so some kind of pharmaceutical company? I'm a little bit hesitant on this. This chart doesn't look too fantastic for me. But yeah, not really much I can say if this 21 to 34 doesn't hold. So if it starts breaking below $12 to around $11.83, we definitely could see it back down to some key levels around 10 to below $10 there. Jared, wow, great trade on that one. Fantastic. You own that at 97 cents. I think that's when Alpaca bought it too. Did you go over NNDM? Says Cowboy. I did, but I'll do it again for you, my friend. So NNDM, this thing has been a rocket ship ever since like ARK has been talking about it, investing in it. The CEOs coming out and being a little bit more public about things. Had multiple stock offerings, and they were bought up and really drove in the stock continuous higher here, and looking for some key targets around $11.42. But this thing could easily come up to $20. But this thing is a enormous potential in the stock with some great technology. But I only fearful is that the folks that are short-term mindset or just buying it because it's trending or whatever, we have some initial support to the downside around $8, and then even down to the $7 range in that trend. What normally hours do you go live? On Sundays, I always do around 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then during the week, I like to do like maybe a Wednesday or Thursday live stream in the evening. I would do want to live stream more and more, just the fact of to kind of get the ideas and just really try to help people as much as I can. Guys, on that note, I've been streaming for a little bit over 2 hours. I want to be very cognizant of the time. I do have to do some work coming in tomorrow. I did get out of jury duty, so that's kind of good. I wasn't called, which is fantastic. So I'm able to look on the account. I was worried about trying to get out of some positions before jury duty started. So that being said, guys, thank you so much. I really do appreciate the amount of folks that came out tonight. If you're interested in some more live streams, please leave a like on the way out the door. Join the Discord server, give me feedback, ask me questions, chat with our other fantastic members and folks over there. I think it's always a grand old time. We talk about stocks, we talk about Costco snacks, we talk about alpacas, we talk about all kinds of things. It's always a very fun scene that we share over there. And as well, thank you guys so very much. I really do mean it at the bottom of my heart. I hope everyone has a fantastic trading week. If we don't talk again, potentially we'll be doing a live stream and some intermittent videos throughout the week on some potential stocks that could be trending. Get ready for an NIO video, Tesla video, and potentially some kind of. I'm working on this video to kind of break down my chart pattern and how I use Thinkorswim in my trading. So, guys, on that, thank you. Christopher, I don't use Instagram at all. If you can send it to me in Discord, I'm much better at that. Let me look up my phone right now, Chris, so I can answer you. I don't want to leave you hanging. Sorry, folks, 1 second. I barely use Instagram. I don't think I even updated it. How do I even check messages? Okay, there it goes. It just pops up now. Not promotions. I see it now. Boop. I added you the primary. Yes, so if I understand your question, so buying something in the money is always something better. So for example, let me just pull up Tesla stock. So again, using Tastyworks again is what I use for trading stock. With Tastyworks, you always want to buy. So the reason why I like to buy things in the money, Christopher, that we're looking for something in the money. So for example, the options that are expiring this week, a lot of people bought the $700 call because you can see here, look at the amount of open interest on that. But we're starting a lot of open interest on 370 as well. So if we look at, let's say, okay, the expected move for January 15th is, okay, it's 12 days away. The move is $63, okay? So Tastyworks does a fantastic job on outlining that potential move and looking for potentially to 765 to 770. With that being said, if I bought that options, you see here, I have a 19% chance of being in the money. If I buy something at the money, I have a little bit higher probability of being in the money at the expiration. But if I buy something with substantially higher premium and delta, so normally this thing has a delta of about 50. Again, that makes somewhat sense, right? The delta at the monies, the puts or calls are usually 50, around 45 to 50 points. But if I buy something substantially in the market or in the money, you have a little bit better theta decay. So you're seeing here, on a daily basis, I'm losing about $99. So if I had that same thing all the way down here, I'm losing 89, but the option only costs 1,300. So if I bought this one, I'm still losing about 100 or 99, but my options delta is so much higher, and the option's literally like 3 or 4 times the price. And I think a lot of people are a little bit scared about paying more for the option. Yes. So again, if you're playing the Wall Street bets game and not being somewhat consistent in your trading, and you're just going out and buying these like crazy out of the money calls, and the stock just moves up $50 the week of your expirations, you will make so much money. Yes, you will make a lot more money because that delta is lower, and that overall expansion from the low delta to a high delta, that Vega is going to be exploding in premium, because again, it goes from $9 to like $20, which is a double in a very short period of time. So be very, very mindful of that. Was that helpful, Christopher? Yeah, we talked about NIO or not a lot. NIO definitely it's going to have some craze coming into next week. Um, Shane, and I appreciate that. You're asking very politely. So with NIO, I know I said I was going to go, but I have to help someone out here. It was asking so politely, Shane. So with NIO, like we talked about, there's a lot of momentum in this stock. A lot of folks are thinking and seeing this really kick higher here above $50. But we've seen some overall resistance there. With that overall momentum of people like, hey, NIO is coming out with this new sedan. They have their investor day coming through. They have their special battery changing stuff and all this other potential IP stuff they're trying to going after with some new, what's it called? What's it called? When you put in a new technologies and behind their scenes of really trying to change the car market in EV, with getting money from the Chinese government. It's like there's a lot of things going on here. But again, you have to understand it's a Chinese company, and we just saw what happened to Alibaba. Not saying it's going to happen to all Chinese companies, but you have to be super mindful of like you're really kind of playing the rolling with the dice. There's the SEC doesn't really exist like that does in China, but you bought NIO at $2.50. What am I telling you anything? You're doing fantastic, Shane. If you bought an NIO at 250. So, yeah. So normally, Chris. So what? Okay, let me do an example here with Tesla. So the reason why you want a high open interest and volume's okay, but that's whatever. I'm more interested on open interest because, so for example, like the 720 and 725, there's not really that much price change there, but the 720 has so much more open interest because it's going to allow you that liquidity to get in and out of that option, to really get out of that. Does that make sense? Like that's a great component within that, because again, if you're buying an option for like, I'm trying to think of a very not very much, I think it was like Team, their options are not great at all. Yeah, like so Team, great company, love the stock as well. But you're seeing, look at the amount of open interest here at the $240 strike price. This is something, yeah. All options platforms should show the open interest. It's a very key component. But then with the open interest comes the bid and the ask. Like depending on when the market opens, like this is a pretty large bid and ask, around 40 cents. That's $40 in between. With that being said, the team call options for the 146 amount of open interest here for $240 is pretty significant. But again, if you own the one right below it, you own the $242.50. that has no open interest. You're basically trading with potentially 4 or 5 traders or funds, and at the same time look at these crazy amount of. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so the bid and the ask shows the amount of the spread, but it's normally if you want to get out or potentially have some kind of a significant move, because again, everything with options market really kind of comes into multiple factors. There's not just one thing that tells you what you should or should not do. Having liquidity in an option is extremely important because, again, what is an option? It's a derivative of the stock. So if the stock, let's say NIO or Tesla gaps down 10%, yeah, 10% of NIO is, I don't know, a couple bucks, $3 or $4. But if that options you had that was 30 days out, a 10% drop in that option is going to be down like 40% because of it's a derivative from the stock. And depending on what strike price you have and what delta you have on that, that can significantly ruin your day or somewhat kind of categorize it and save it. So it's very much a learning process. Long story short, it's always good and best to buy in the money because of the theta decay, because that's the one thing you can't change. You cannot change time, and you can't stop time or whatever. Like time is just an option's worst nightmare unless you're selling the premium. If you're selling a put or selling a call, you love theta. But if you're buying straight calls or in kind of like counter spreads or things like that, theta is going to be your enemy. Yeah, if a wild bid and ask, like I've seen wild bid and ask between there were the spreads of $2 or $3. So like, I think it's like Booking, yeah. So Booking Holdings, they have a crazy amount of, again, it's a very expensive stock, well over $2,000. So usually those don't have a lot of options trading going forth. And you're really seeing that kind of come into, look at these spreads. They're talking like $400 basically in between those levels. If you're buying straight calls, you want to have an even theta. Like we talked about that with like the Tesla, we wanted, oops. So with the Tesla, we wanted to kind of keep it the theta. So the lower the theta, the lower the time would decay. So we're seeing that, like say, if I bought, so for example, if you bought the February $700 call, okay, that's expiring in 47 days, that theta is $173. But if I bought the same call or same strike price, let me clear this out, the $700 call all the way out into, what is this? Sorry, January of 2022, you see that theta is only 23, okay? So it has substantially longer time on it. The delta is still the same, but the theta is lower, but the movement that we could see in the stock is a little bit higher. But you're really giving yourself just a higher probability of profit due to the fact of the movement that we could see in the stock. Because again, you're talking about a stock that's 47 days away or 383 days away, and really potentially doing the timing of it. That's when it really comes down to options. Happy birthday, Cowboy. Appreciate it, my friend. It's your birthday. Hopefully you had a fantastic birthday. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate your time. I don't know if you checked your IG and can figure out how. Okay. So, Christopher, have you joined the Discord? I can pull that up here. So the Discord, I can add. You can just message me. Are you in the Discord, Chris? Let's see here. How do I add folks? Let's just go here. Invite, copy. And that's the information right there. I'll post it in the chat for the Discord. What's generally good theta? Does it depend on the underlying stock price? So the only thing theta really cares about is time. And what comes into time and options is the options expiration that you choose. So again, we just showed the example between 383 days and then 47 days. Oh, you can direct message me. You can just do the little. You have to add me as a friend, I think, though. So if you ping me, I'll add you as a friend, and you can ping me directly. Yarvar CRSP, last one, and then I'm calling it a night, folks. CRSP. Let's see here. Yeah, CRISPR, that's again the genomic stuff that's been kind of hit and miss here. Looking for some initial support around 150. If that doesn't hold, because we've seen quite a few red days, we could see some substantial downside to around 140 and even down to the 130 level, because we have seen some substantial moves upside. Be very mindful of this, but that initial support here is looking fairly strong around 150. But if that selling continues into this week, I want to be very mindful and cognizant about the 140 level and seeing how it plays there. That being said, folks, thank you very much. It looks like a lot of folks have joined the Discord. I really do appreciate it. Again, I just want to try to help folks out here. I'm not trying to take anything from you. I really do appreciate everyone coming out. If on the way out the door, if you just don't mind hitting the like button, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Be safe out there, and hopefully a fantastic trading week for you and hopefully we'll see you soon on the next live stream. And I'm going to stop saying hopefully, and I'm going to actually get going this time, and I'll help you see you soon. I did that on purpose. I'm sorry. Peace, folks.